All right, welcome. Today we're diving into something huge. We're talking about how we move beyond just helping people with their immediate problems and start to tackle the very systems that create those problems in the first place. It's a question that really challenges us to think differently about what lasting change actually looks like. So, let's get into it.
I want you to just sit with that for a second. It's a powerful idea, isn't it? It gets right to the heart of what we're talking about. It's the difference between an act of mercy, which is absolutely vital, don't get me wrong, and an act of justice, which tries to transform the very conditions that make that mercy necessary to begin with.
So, where do we even start with a shift in thinking this big? Well, with any big idea, you've got to start with the why. What's the fundamental belief that pushes us to look deeper than the surface-level problem? Turns out it all comes down to a core theological concept.
This quote just completely flips the script on how we approach this kind of work. We're not just solving a puzzle or managing a case file. We're talking about a profound encounter between two human beings. It forces us to see past any label society might throw on someone, whether it's addict, offender, or poor, and to see the person first, always.
And here it is, the absolute bedrock, Imago Dei. It's Latin for image of God. And it's this non-negotiable belief that every single person has value, not because of what they do or what they have, but simply because they are. This one idea is the engine that drives everything else. If every single person is an image bearer of God, well then we have a sacred duty to act when that image is being crushed or ignored.
Okay, so if we accept that every person has this incredible, inherent dignity, the next question is pretty obvious, right? What's getting in the way? What's stopping people from flourishing? And that brings us to the what of our conversation, the systems and structures we're really up against.
It's so easy to look at a problem and point to an individual choice. But what if that choice was seriously limited by forces way bigger than that one person? Think about it. Housing instability isn't just about someone's budget. It's also shaped by zoning laws and unfair lending practices. Gaps in education aren't just about how hard a kid studies, they're actually built into the way we fund our schools. Here's the key. It's not an either-or. Personal responsibility is real, but so are the systemic forces that shape our lives. They're two sides of the very same coin.
So, to really get what's going on with these systems, you've got to ask some pretty tough questions. Who's got the power here? Who's actually benefiting from things staying exactly the way they are? It's kind of like you have to be a detective. You got to follow the money, follow the power, and figure out how it's all connected to see the real story.
So we've got our why, the Imago Dei, and we've got our what, these oppressive systems. So the next big question is, what are we supposed to do about it? The answer is advocacy. But we're not talking about advocacy as just a professional tool or a hobby. It's being framed here as a sacred duty, a call to action.
Just listen to the energy in those verbs from the prophet Isaiah. Learn, seek, defend, take up, plead. This is not a gentle suggestion to sit on the sidelines and feel bad for people. This is a command to get in the game, to get your hands dirty, and to actively fight for those who are most vulnerable.
Let me put it this way. You can spend all your time patching up people who get hurt on a really dangerous road, or you can work to fix the road itself. That, right there, is the heart of advocacy. It's taking intentional action to change the very policies and conditions that are causing all the harm in the first place.
And advocacy isn't just one thing, It's a whole spectrum of action. It can be as focused as case advocacy, where you're helping one person or one family navigate a broken system. Then it scales up to cause advocacy, fighting for a whole group of people. And it goes all the way to legislative advocacy, community organizing, and even what's called prophetic witness, which is basically speaking truth to power, just like the old prophets did. Okay, so we're starting to get a handle on what advocacy is. Now we need to get practical and talk about how we do it. If we're going to step into the sacred duty, what are the principles that should be guiding our actions? How do we make sure we're not just being effective, but also being faithful to what we believe? One of the most important things to get our heads around is the difference between charity and justice. And listen, they're not enemies, they're partners. Charity is absolutely essential. It addresses the immediate crisis. It's the food pantry, it's the shelter. But justice steps back and asks, hey, why are so many people needing the food pantry in the first place? And then it works to change the system, like fighting for wages that let families buy their own food with dignity. You see, we desperately need both. So what makes this kind of advocacy different? Well, it all comes down to these guiding principles. It's not about being loyal to a political party. It's about being loyal to human flourishing. It's not about winning no matter what. How you fight matters just as much as what you're fighting for. And it holds this really beautiful, really challenging idea. You have to work to change the laws, but you also have to recognize that real, deep, lasting change, well, that requires a change in people's hearts. So all of this leads us to a really crucial point. This work, it can't be done in a silo. If you want to change systems, you have to step into the public square, into the arena where policies get debated and made. But that brings up a huge question, right? How do you bring your faith into a space like that with integrity?
Stepping into that public space comes with some really serious responsibilities. It means having a prophetic voice, one that challenges injustice wherever you see it, not just when it's convenient for your side. It means building coalitions with all sorts of different people, finding common ground on core issues of human dignity. And, critically, it means you hold on to both your professional ethics and your theological integrity. In other words, it's about being a faithful presence, not a political pawn.
And this brings us right back to where we started. The ultimate call isn't just to be the Good Samaritan who stops to help someone in crisis. It's to become the Good Samaritan who, after binding up the wounds, stands up and asks the bigger question: why is this road so dangerous in the first place? And what are we, all of us, going to do together to make it safe for everyone? That right there, that's the journey from charity to justice. And it's a journey we're all invited on.